righty. How are you? Can you all hear? Is that okay? It's not crazy? All right. What I'm going to do first is get things going, pass through, so you can enjoy the cheese while I talk. So I'll just give you one of these. We'll just, and I should have enough of those. And the cheeses that you're going to be sampling, the first one is our plain chèvre, which is the cheese that is the basis of almost all of our flavored chèvres. And so I'm going to, we'll just keep everything going. You'll catch it when it comes here. Okay. So here's that, and napkins and crackers if you prefer. So I'm gonna set them here, and you guys can just pass them through. So there's the plain. I didn't even think about it because we have cheeses in different categories of sweet, savory, and spicy. Tonight, for some reason, I just grabbed sweet. So on we go. The first one is a blueberry lemon. This is a cognac fig. It's Cavassier cognac and Dalmatia figs. That's won 4 national awards. And this is apricot ginger. It's an apricot marmalade with fresh grated ginger. So enjoy. I'm going to scoot through this presentation really quickly because I could talk for 2 hours or longer because I love talking about this journey I've been on. It was a very unexpected journey. I had purchased a farm in Hiram with my life partner, Jim Zella, who's an architect and a builder, and who actually designed and built the Hambricks house. My partner, Jim, built the Hambricks home. So, but we had bought this farm. I was working for a local land conservancy and was blissfully happy. And I was 61, and I had vacation. I had 2 weeks vacation. And Jim was busy with his work, and so he couldn't go anywhere. And so I ended up taking a cheese-making class at Penn State. And you'll see pictures of that in the presentation. But it was an epiphany, and it changed my life. And I'm looking at many of you. Some are younger, but I cannot encourage you enough if there's something that you really want to do, a passion, an idea, and it could be anything from, I have a woman who runs a huge hydronic coupling company. It's just, so it doesn't have to be, a bed and breakfast for women or, whatever, widgets for men. It doesn't matter. If there's something you're interested in doing, I encourage you to go for it. So this was the farm, and this is where I think that pictures are for my story, the pictures really help you understand. Can you see the pictures well enough, or would you like the light stick be trimmed down? Does that help, I think, maybe? There you go. That's perfect. So this is literally the view out of my kitchen window. So we bought the farm in 2003. Jim needed a building for his architectural supplies and equipment and whatever. And so he built this barn, and that's our vegetable garden. I don't know if there's a little pointer here or not. Blank, beep, blazer. Boom. Yes. Oh, good. So here's our little vegetable garden, and then the whole barn that Jim built. Where we are now is the whole lower level, and then there's been an extension, which you'll see is all the creamery. So I went to this class, which was through Penn State. The organization was PASA, which is an acronym for the Pennsylvania Association of Sustainable Agriculture. And this lovely man in the red hairnet, Neville McNaughton, was the instructor. He is now my cheese consultant, has been my cheese consultant now for 6 years. This was 2007 is the year. And everyone in this picture, this is a cheesemaker, doctor. There was another doctor in the room. They all came to this with their pH meters and their gram scales, and I'm like, I knew nothing. I had made about 2 pounds of cheese in my life, and But this was a turning point for me. And I did not come to this class thinking, this is what I want to do, I need to go and learn. I was very content with my job, and I really thought that that's what I would do for the rest of my life. So I came and took this class, and it was a 3-day class with only 12 students. And I went home and told Jim that I had to do this. I knew that I was 61. I felt a tremendous sense of urgency of time, that if I didn't grab this window and do this now, I wouldn't do it. So this is the lower level of the barn, which used to house goats. And we called ODA, the Ohio Department of Agriculture, and they came and said, oh, totally, you can use this. Just have the walls professionally. They had to be etched and sanitized, and then we had all the rafters cleaned out, and then we ended up having, this is hard to see, but these are men blowing cellulose, which is recycled newspapers, and they also use recycled blue jeans to insulate the building. I really wanted the building to be as green as possible, which is a pretty big challenge in the food industry. But our insulation's recycled newspapers and blue jeans. We heat and cool with geothermal. All of our whey is captured and goes to a local farm, and it's fed to this farmer's hogs and chickens. These were the Extra Tech panels that we had to have to go up on the walls, which that's my Jim and a good friend putting these plastic panels up on the ceiling. Everything had to be able to be washed and sanitized. And then it was the business of going about finding the equipment. And now, mind you, I knew none of this. I was a blank slate. But it just was this clear path that I knew. I can't explain it. It was extraordinary. Everything that I needed just seemed to come to us. Somebody said, oh, I know somebody who has that, or here, this is a great company. This is a great resource, and people just sort of came out of the woodwork. So all of the equipment, everything has to be stainless steel. And so this was our first pasteurizer. This is an 80-gallon pasteurizer. We now have a larger one, 200-gallon, and we use both. This was, to start the business, I had to have a logo, we needed a mission statement, we needed a business plan, and so I had this idea about what I wanted the logo to look like, and I called my cousin, who's an artist, and asked if she would, be willing to take a try at designing my logo. A week later, she called me, and I went over. It was exactly what I had envisioned. And so it was just these little sort of road signs that you're going the right place, you're doing what you're supposed to do. These are 2 of the goats. All of our goats, we have 2 dairies who milk for us, exclusively for us, and they have Saanen goats, which are these lovely white goats. And there are different types of goats. There's Hanan, Nubians, all kinds of goats. But these are the Saanens, and they give you the highest quantity of milk. They don't always give the richest as far as butterfat and protein, but they give you a lot of milk. This is one of the barns. Whoops, wait a minute, we'll go back really quick, sorry. You can see here how fluffy and clean and dry their beds are. And healthy goats give good milk makes good cheese. And this is truly what they look like. They are so content and so relaxed, you'd swear they're smiling. And they just pile up on each other, and it's very wonderful. They do not have free range to pasture. They can go outside, but they cannot go outside and eat, because if they got into garlic mustard or if they got into buttercups make cheese taste rancid. Which you'd hard to believe, but they actually got into buttercups. It was in their hay, and we couldn't figure out why was the cheese tasting so badly, and it was because there were buttercups in the hay. So they can go outside and be in the sun, but they have very controlled feed of hay and grain. If you were to take a clove of garlic and chop it up and put it under the goat's nose, in 20 minutes, that smell, that flavor, that would be in the dough's milk. There's a cheesemaker in England who raises her goats on lavender and makes a lavender goat cheese. And it's just infused in the milk. It's kind of neat. So here we are, clean bedding, which I talked about. This is the milking parlor, which they come in 10 at a time. My dairymen are Amish, and so all of their goats are milked not by hand, but on 2 at a time into a 5-gallon stainless steel pail. And then that milk is then brought and poured into, by hand, poured into this tank, which refrigerates it. They're allowed to have diesel-fueled engines, and so they can keep it cooled. These are 2 of my original employees. I just visited this darling girl, Miriam. She's just had a baby 10 days ago, and I just spent the morning with her. But these girls, they've learned how to calibrate a pH meter, how to take the pH, how to drive a John Deere tractor. So it's been great. And I buy them the colorful Crocs because I know they wouldn't do that. But this is just in the make room, and the cheese draining in the cheese bags. We're now making more cheese than we were at that time, so we're into a different design system. But the cheese is heated up, or the milk rather is heated up to 145 degrees for 30 minutes. And then you cool it down as quickly as you can. We add our cultures. It stays in the vat overnight. And the next day, we bag the curds and separate the whey from the curds, and then go on with our cheese. We launched at the Fabulous Food Show in 2007. This is where I met the cheese buyer from Heinen's and the cheese buyer from the West Point Market. And it was the beginning of our business. This is 2009 at the American Cheese Society competition, where we won 2 awards, which is like winning at the American Cheese Society is like winning an Oscar. It's a huge accomplishment. And for that to have happened that was the first year that I entered, was pretty thrilling. This is Ben Biebenroth, who owns the Spice Kitchen and Bar, and he does a farm dinner out on our farm each year, and you just sit outside and enjoy the view and his fabulous food. So the business had grown. I had started off as a one-man show. I did everything cheese making, balancing the books, making deliveries, buying supplies. Then I hired a couple of Amish girls to help me, and I continued running the business on my own, and got to the point and probably waited too long. I really felt like I was drowning. It was just too much. And so I interviewed 4 distributors and chose the distributor that I felt suited my personality, our ideals, and where were they going, where was I going, and how would I fit into their picture. And I interviewed Northern Hazarat, Cisco, which was the biggest one, and I have a funny story because they tested my product, and I came through the front gate, and the woman asked me where was my order, and I said, well, it's right here in my back seat. And she said, what do you mean you have an order in your back seat? And I showed her these little tubs of cheese, and she started to laugh, and she said, I'm sorry, but I have to tell you that's the smallest order. It's the smallest order that's ever come through the gate at Cisco. But and that's how I felt about them. I thought, you might be a great company, but you're just not right for me. I'm just way too small, and I need another small company. So I ended up hiring Euro USA. They were in Cleveland, and they had just opened up in Washington, D.C., and now they're in Chicago. And so as they've grown, so has my company, and it's turned out to be a really good marriage. So it was time to grow. We needed more space. We needed an aging room. My employees needed a lunch room. They were coming into the house and curling up and watching soap operas at lunch, and I was like, does your mother know you're doing this? Oh, yes, it's okay. It's not our TV. It's okay. We can do this. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to say anything. But so this is the wall in our aging room. This is the stone wall. And I asked ODA, the Ohio Department of Agriculture, if we could put stone in our aging room. I was certain they were going to say no because of bacteria and whatever, but they said yes. And I never asked again, and we put this stone wall in, which is now I'm sure you've heard the word terroir, the French word terroir, which means a place of earth, the soil, and where you are. And where I live, and in this area too, we're in a whole glacial till environment. All of these stones, we have sandstone, granite, sharing conglomerate, and it's all the terroir. It's what our soils are, and that affects the flavor of our cheese. It affects the whole aging process of our cheese. These stones also act that they retain cold temperature and they retain moisture. So it's a really critical part of our aging room process. Going through the whole construction thing was really challenging because at that point we were still getting our milk in milk cans, and of course the goats don't know that, they're going to milk whether you're in construction or it's a holiday or whatever. So we then brought in this is our 200-gallon pasteurizer, and that was our baby pasteurizer. We still use both of these. We do right now 3 full pasteurizations a week. We went from milk cans to this stainless steel tote. So we pick up, that will hold 300 gallons of milk. And then the construction, designing a tank room and the girls' lunchroom and the aging room. And this wasn't really part of the business plan. This was necessity. The business was growing, and I knew that I wanted to do an aging room. I knew that I wanted to grow, but it all was happening faster than we had expected. And so my youngest son, who will be in here, I'm not sure, there's a picture of him, but he had called and expressed an interest in joining the company, came up, spent a week with me doing all the things that we do, and said, yes, I think that this would be a really good move. I think I'd really be happy doing this. And so at that point, we hired our first business consultant, and he has helped us evaluate our strengths and weaknesses, and how do we work together as a team, and how do we do this transition, this succession plan that happens so quickly. I mean, I will have been in the business 10 years when I pass the business to my son, and that's going to be here before we know it. And so it's been fabulous. Oh, here he is. This is my son, Rob. It's been fabulous. The growth of the business has been great, but we could not have done it without the great advice that we have and the people that we turn to for advice. So Rob joined the company in November of 2010, and then this is my daughter, Liz, who also fell in love with what her mother was doing, but lives in Portland, Oregon. And she said, I'm going to start a creamery in Portland. So she launched Portland Creamery. She's on a rocket ship. She's won 5 national awards. She is in 40 of the top restaurants in Portland, and it's just happening. So it's quite a journey. This is one of our aged cheeses. This is our Boucheron, which is a really lovely goat. We're just getting ready to launch this and have this available at retail stores. You can buy all of our cheese right here at Heinen's in Hudson, but no one has our Boucheron yet because it's taken a year and a half of recipe development. And that is, there's no shortcuts in cheese. You have to figure it out. Well, as you're developing your recipes, you're not going to know for 2 months is what that cheese really is. So it's a very slow process. And then Jonathan Sawyer, who owns the Greenhouse Tavern, he gave us a shout out in the New York Times in February. He uses our ricotta, our goat milk ricotta, and so that was great fun. And these are some of our favorite sayings. We try and keep humor because it can be very stressful. It can be running a business is stressful, and so we try and keep some humor always. And so one of our things is we aim to cheese. And if you remain flexible, you'll never get bent out of shape, and a little cheesy is good. So we just keep our humor. So.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, my name's Debbie Kuhn. I'm with Girl Trunks. And just to get all of you men into the conversation, I don't have a PowerPoint. If your only choice was a Speedo, imagine that's pretty much what the reality is for women, is a Speedo type swimwear. So that just brings you into the conversation. So I was invited, in 2000, probably in 1999, to Montana. One of my friends' family built a ranch in Montana. So my friend, before we hang up the phone, says, Debbie, make sure to bring your swimsuit. We're going to go tubing down the Madison River. And I'm thinking, so excited to go tubing down the Madison River, bathing suit, not so much. So I have to, go buy bathing suit. And I'm standing over a beach when I'm like, I want something to cover the lower part of my body. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I just don't want to wear a regular bathing suit. And that's when the light bulb went off. I thought, why don't I pair men's swim trunks with a women's tankini top? So I did that, go to Montana. We're going tubing down the Madison River. I'm not self-conscious. I mean, I was lighter then, but just, and it was, male and females. We were all out and about, and so comfortable when we came out of the water, like dried right away, which you men, that's how it is for men. Women, it's not that way. Women can sit wet for like 2 hours or longer. So anyway, it just stayed with me. Went to the grocery store, and I thought, wow, this is really liberating. Now, I don't really swim that much. So that happened. That stayed with me for year after year, and it kept nagging at me. I would talk to people, you need to do something, you need to do something. And then the thing that finally launched me to do it was QVC and Oprah had paired up, and to do the next big idea. I thought, okay, I'm going to go for it. And let me give you a little background on myself. I worked corporate America, my whole life, in an office, all that stuff. And then I had, in the last 8 years, probably 10 years, I worked in the art industry. I still do. And great job. Dream job. Love art. And the companies I work for produced art fairs, and they're international art fairs, so people that came from all around the world, both artists and exhibitors and attendees. So super cool job. And in the midst of when this QVC Oprah thing is happening, I am slammed with work, traveling all over the place. A big show is coming up. So anyway, I'm making this happen, find a seamstress, do all this. And I remember I was getting ready to go on a trip, and I called my friend over so I could take pictures. Well, they didn't fit her, because I don't know like a size 6, I guess. Well, they didn't fit. So I called my niece. I'm like, Jennifer, get up here. And she's like, Aunt Debbie, they don't fit. I said, just suck it in. It's a picture, because it's just a picture. It doesn't really matter. So, she sucked it in, and the pictures were great. So I get everything together, and I go to Chicago. And QVC and Oprah, obviously you can imagine it was very well orchestrated. Really, really lovely experience. And they stand, you go through all these things, and you end up in a room with all these long tables. And, slews them, like 2 sides of this room. It's huge. And so they cattle you to what area you need to be, and then when the time comes, you get called up. So my section was the very first section. And mind you, in this corner, after you gave your presentation, there were manufacturers and resources and all these, and my reason for doing this is I need to find a manufacturer. Like, how do I find a manufacturer to do this? So this would be a shortcut. This is my thought. So it's my turn. I lay all my stuff out, and the guy comes. I have a camera, like one of the big cameras from TV. People are snapping pictures here. I'm thinking, it's my idea. I don't want anybody to steal my idea. Not that they would know what it really is, because it's just like shorts and a top. And I need to talk to this guy. And I'm like, oh. It was just like crazy. You talk about just sensory overload. So he says to me, He says, have you trademarked your name? That's a really great name. And I said, a matter of fact, I did. The minute that name, we came up with it, it's like, let's trademark it. So had done that, and he pulled his colleague and said, check out what this girl did. It's a really good idea. Now, I didn't win. Obviously, I didn't win. So now what do I do? Now let's try to figure out how to manufacture this. Because afterwards, I thought, okay, do I go back to the woman that made the sample and make different sizes? And then somebody connected me to Ursula in college, to the VP of the design area, and she said, "You just make a sample." Because mind you, I don't sew, I don't do any of this stuff. So I said, "Okay, that's good." So then I thought, okay, I tried to figure out how to manufacture it in the U.S. I spent about 9 months. I couldn't find what I needed. And when I first started, my one friend said, "You need to talk to Chip." I'm like, I'll figure this out. Well, 9 months later, I'm calling Chip. And he's a broker that deals, in China. So once I did that, let me tell you, this thing was moving quick. I started my business on a little Palm Pilot. Or a Centro Palm Pilot. I can remember I was in Arizona and I'm, doing stuff. And then a call comes in and I lost every bit. There's just the things that you do and all this. So, and this was going on. I started my business when the economy tanked. And so I was actually in Las Vegas with my art job. And the economy, when all that news came, 2008, and I thought, I'm in. There's nothing, I'm in. And I had, just to give you an idea with the finance side, I did this all on my own. I had done really well, and one of the shows made a lot of money, which helped me in bonus money. So it helped me kind of finance some of it. But then for the product in China, I needed to get a loan. Well, I did this kind of half-ass backwards. And I went to the bank. Again, traveling. I come home. I live in Twinsburg. I'm at the Chase Bank. And I just did a line of credit. Because, I could just do it fine. I got it. And again, got it before all this stuff got all funny. So do that, transfer the money. Everything's a go. Then it's getting all the pieces, parts together. The website, the marketing materials, all that kind of stuff. And it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. And I was fortunate to have some young kid that I worked with. He's a man. But he's the one that came up with the Girl Trunks name. And he actually did all that you see on the website and everything. It was him. And really, really creative. He and I just clicked. And so then here again, I'm traveling. And I'm in New York and the website. Because I show in New York in March. And I launched in March. And doing the website for me brought me to my knees. Absolutely brought me to my knees. I had somebody, they did a good job, but just that back and forth, and I'm working a full-time job and really busy and all that stuff. So it's pretty intense. But I also say without the internet, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing, because it makes it very accessible. And I think that's why there's entrepreneurs all over the place, because it is accessible. And I just think of the back and forth with China. I would have never been able to afford that. Just to ship something little is $125. So so much was done through the internet. Even me choosing the fabrics was done through the internet. So, it just really made it accessible. So, okay, the product comes. The product actually came before Christmas. But the website, without a website, you don't have a business. So it took till March for the website to get all together. And so I launch. And I'm expecting to sell out right away. Didn't happen. And because it's all the marketing, and that's the one thing that I've learned through this. The marketing is huge. It's PR, 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 because that old adage, you can have the best product in the world. If nobody knows about it, nobody knows about it. So there it sits, wherever it sits. So I was fortunate enough, somebody connected me. I got on Robin Swoboda. And I'd never been on TV before. Much, I've never done anything like this before. Nothing. Never talked in front of people. Any of that kind of stuff. So and Robin's kind of a live wire, and she is, and you don't know. It's live, and I was fine. But the minute it was live, my knees started shaking. But I did fine. So that was good. And so sales come from that. And then I was involved with Ladies Who Launch, and one of the editors in the fashion department, she did an article on me. Well, let me just tell you, it was a feature on me, and I'm still working, and my mom was doing all the shipping and receiving stuff. So I'm laying in bed, and the orders just tick, 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 tick. They just keep coming in and coming in, and I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. So all good. So, I press, here again, it's press, business comes. So somehow through that time, that article really sustained my business the first year ultimately. So then move into year 2 of the business. And again, it's trying to get the PR. And I had hired a woman, and it was through a referral, and she was down in Florida. It was a lot of money. And as an entrepreneur, it's a lot of money. I mean, thousands of dollars that I'm shelling out, and nothing's happening. And I did this way ahead, long lead. So this was January, February, March, so that I can be in the right magazines at the right time. Well, this lady, nothing's happening. And I'm sending out sample after sample, and that's money. I mean, I'm just sending money out to people. And this other PR firm is contacting me, and this lady, I mean, I had like my head in my hands on my desk, like, what am I going to do? I mean, I'm going to honor the contract, which was 3 years. And anyway, I talked to her, and she was willing to let me out. Just I paid her 2 months' worth, and then I went on to this other PR firm. And I can tell you, hands down, really, if it wasn't for this PR firm, I probably would not be in business. No lie. They work with entrepreneurs, and so their fee is less. And the first thing I did was it's like a group campaign. So let's say however many people sign up at the time, so they share the amount of time that they work soliciting all these people. And let me also say, I tried to do this on my own, and I'm in sales, and I'm pretty good at sales. That PR thing, not for me. There's one thing about you have to know these people, cutthroat, whatever all that is. I just backed off. I said, I need to hire somebody to help me do this. So I've had a long-term relationship with them. So articles hit, business comes in. Articles hit, business. This is just the pattern. And newspaper at that. Now, there's been online stuff, and I not that online doesn't work, and I would not do online stuff, but I wouldn't base my whole business on it, because we know people break through, and there's these tremendous success stories. Okay, that hasn't happened to me yet. So anyway, after all, I see that the business works. I get results when I'm in the newspaper. So there's this thing called the MAT release. I don't know do any of you know what a MAT release is? Okay, I didn't either. And I heard it from 3 different people. I'm like, okay, listen to this. What it is it's a camera-ready article, and they're in your paper. And it looks like an article, but it's really an advertisement, but it's more like an advertorial kind of thing. So you don't really realize it's an advertisement. Okay, so I study, what companies I want to go with and interview them and so on and so forth. So I do this, and again, a lot of money. And I just put all my eggs in one basket because I'm small. I don't have this huge marketing budget to, do everything I would love to do. So I do that thing, pretty much bombed. And I'm not kidding you. And this was my whole marketing budget. And so this was 2011. And I'm thinking, this is not good. And then, of course, I lost my job. And then the job turned into something else. But just all these things that not good. Okay, stressed out of my mind. Just stressed out of my mind. So then, and this is last year. I'm kind of fast forwarding through stuff. But last year, and it was June or July 14th. And I honestly am like, what am I going to do? I have debt for the business. I use, line of credit, and I use credit cards to do it. I really had no outside help at all. And I'm not a fan of credit debt at all. I really have no debt other than my house. So that kind of freaked me out. And then, the interest payments. When I would do my taxes, I wanted to cry of the amount of interest you're paying, because I just think of all the bathing suits. It's a lot. So I'm really sitting there on the 14th, like, what am I going to do? Even if I get a job, it's going to take me how long to pay the debt off? And on the 15th, this article runs in the Akron Beacon Journal. And mind you, it's from the PR firm that I spoke about, who is in Arizona, which you would think that could happen without somebody else. But there's a relationship that these PR people have. And to backtrack on that, they interviewed me. Okay, I interviewed with the reporter. The guy came and took my picture. But that was back in May, June. This didn't happen until July. And I'm sitting here. This is the thing when I don't know how many of you have your own business, but you're waiting. It's like if you're out of a job and you're looking for a job. It's a big deal. Haven't they responded? Haven't they responded? So it's kind of the same thing. Isn't it going to hit? And nothing's real till it's real. That's for sure what I've learned. Until it's wherever it's supposed to be, it's not real. That article hit. Game changer for me, absolute game changer. Because, lots of sales came in again, just tick, 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 sales. But whatever, syndication that Akron Beacon Journal is a part of, that article syndicated. So small markets, mind you, they're small markets. Because Akron's pretty, I mean, it's a small market in the scheme of things. And so it went to other small markets too. Well, I ended up selling out of a lot of product. So now, obviously good, in 1 month, paid my credit cards off. Could have paid the line of credit, but you know, you need to keep cash handy and all that stuff. So, I mean, like, whew, big. Because you just think, how am I going to make it work? But somehow, I don't know how it happens, but it happens. So now here I am, and it's May. So I sell out of the majority of the sizes. And I had been communicating, even last year, with a manufacturer in California. And guy's kind of a wheeler dealer, but you know, fine. I get samples made. It was very expensive. I mean, way, way, way more expensive than the China. Just unbelievable. But before I go and hand this guy money, like a lot of money, I want to go visit him and just meet him face to face. So I fly out to California, and I think, okay, again, wheeler dealer, I can manage that. I can keep that reined in. That's okay. Just need to stay on top of it. So that was October. Then November, when I'm ready, okay, let's go. Let's go. He jacked the prices up so high, cost prohibitive. I mean, no way, no way. And also let me share that China wouldn't look at me for a small run. You know, they want a lot, and I had actually already sent the samples to China, but then it's a money thing. You know, it's just this whole stuff. So that's last year. So here we are. So I find, when I'm in California with this guy, I am looking for fabric, and he sends me to certain places, and then I come across this one fabric place, because I need both, you know, the men's kind of fabric for the trunks and then the lycra for the top. And I'm talking to this Joseph guy, and he's showing me all this fabric. He says, do you need a manufacturer? I said, no, I have one, but I said, I'll take the name. Okay, so I write it down. So this thing all happens, and I'll tell you what happens when Sandy was hitting the East Coast on that Monday. So I get off the phone with that guy, and I think there is no way in hell. I would go out of business dealing with the first guy. And I pick up the phone, and I call. This guy's name is Neil. I'm like, Neil, blah, blah, are you willing to work with me? Sure, send it. I tell you, in 20 minutes, I was at the post office with the samples on the way to California. Okay, so you guys, that's October. Here we are now. It's been hell. I'm not kidding you, because this is my life, not my life, my business. It's my business, and my wait list is over 500 now. I have people that have contacted me again and again. Well, you said it'll be ready in February. You said it'll be ready. I'm only going by what the guy told me. And one thing that if people would just do what they say they're going to do. I mean, I'm somebody that does what I say I'm going to do. And there's so much of that goes on. And I can also tell you, when I was doing this in the U.S., what for me was just like in my face is there's all these moving pieces. And now I have to take care of every one of these moving pieces. And to tell you about the first guy, when he said the prices, he said, well, Debbie, it doesn't include the zipper, the elastic, the snap. I said, hold on a minute. When I sent you my samples, it had all that in it. And you knew I dealt with China before, and he deals with China. He knows what. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? You know, so that was part of it. You know, it's like all those pieces, parts. So what I know is I have to, what zipper am I choosing? All these things were somehow in China, and the broker, that was all handled. And then we have this thing that the labels, which is now what I'm dealing with the labels, is when I first, because this is my second round with this, and it feels like I'm starting my business again. This is like I'll say I'm going through growing pains, and they're kind of painful at times. So in my first email, because I documented everything, particularly after working with the first guy, and I asked, are the labels included, meaning the girl trunks label? And the guy, he's kind of, I don't know, he isn't necessarily super responsive. Certain things he'll respond to, but not everything. So now the product's finally in production, finally, and the label question. I'm like, well, do you guys have the labels? Well, we don't do the labels. I think, what do you mean you don't do the labels? So I get this guy. Okay, he says, I'll get them to you in 10 days. Fine. So this guy put off. His daughter's getting married. I mean, I get that. I mean, I'm kind and nice. I'm not going to be an idiot about that. So I'd sent him 2 logos. I said, this is the one I want to use. What does he do? He does the first one. So now we have to wait more. Now, they're supposed to be, he said, they'll ship today being Wednesday, and I'm trying to get the answer. Are they going to arrive in California on Wednesday, or are they being shipped and they can arrive Monday? I don't get an answer. I mean, just like, Google. So these are just the trials and tribulations of all this. But would I trade it? No. And I can tell you there's many times I'm like, what am I doing? Why? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? And then I get the loveliest email or the loveliest call from somebody, how much they love the product and it's changed their lives. Because here's the reality for some women, it really has changed their lives. That mothers are now playing with their children in the pool, where they wouldn't do that before. And so families are happier now. I mean, grandmas are in Disney enjoying the grandkids or whatever it is. And I get stories that it's just interesting. It's very inspiring to me. And I mean, I'm somebody that wants to make a difference. And I realize I am making a difference. And they're like bathing suit by bathing suit. It is changing people's lives in a positive way. And we made our packaging really nice. It's not just thrown in a bag. So we have a box, and it's tissue paper, and there's a little pink square, and we have a thank you card, and we wrap them like a present with this tape, striped tape. It's a little labor intensive. We'll change that in the future. And anyway, it's like when I package them, I know it's going to make people happy on the other end. Like, it's really sending joy to people, and that's something that is, I don't know, it makes me feel good. And when all those orders had come in, somebody had invited, this is with the Akron Beacon Journal article, somebody had invited me out, and I said, I can't go. Oh, come on, come on. I said, I've been waiting 3 years for this. And let me tell you, the packaging and stuff, it's a remedial task. Love it. Love it. I'm not kidding you, because there's something like, okay, look, I created this. Somebody wants it. And it's like a special thing. And even people, believe me, we get returns. I mean, bathing suits and for women of all things. But people are so kind, and even if it doesn't fit them, they'll say, I love your product, it just didn't fit, I need a lower waist, whatever it is. But it's such a good thing. It's a good thing. So I'm now trying to take my business to the next level. I need an investor. This is challenging to find somebody. And, all the stuff that you have to go through. And let me share that I'm a member of Cozy, and August of 2012 came the Cozy little update magazine. It had Damon John on it. Because, of course, I watch Shark Tank, love it. And who do I want to see but Damon John? So he's coming to the Cozy Small Business Conference. I'm like, I'm getting in front of this guy. So I see that looking like, hi, Debbie, this is Damon. Damon, this is Debbie. This is your story. Well, wrong. They did a whole business pitch competition like Shark Tank. So I'm like, I'm going for this. And all I wanted to do was meet Damon John. So, all these people apply, and you have to do an executive summary and then a 1-minute video. Okay, here again, not my wheelhouse, either one of those. But somehow got them done. And then I had to go present in front of, a panel of 10 people. And one thing I remember, I was practicing everything. They're like, follow the rules. And, I'm a rule follower for the most part. And so when I was flipping, I'd never done a PowerPoint before, by the way. So as I'm flipping it, when I'm practicing my time, I'm thinking to myself, make sure you turn or click to the next slide. So when they go and hand me the clicker, I swear to you, my hand is like this, and I'm thinking, just click, make sure to click. And I was also nervous, and then it was fine. Needless to say, I made it into the final 4. And so presented, I don't know if anybody went to that, but it was at Pickwick and Frolic. And again, have never done anything like this. So it was like 400 people at this thing. And I was the first one to present, which I was thrilled to be the first one, because I really took it so seriously. And if you watch the Shark Tank, the Q&A or the questions afterwards are, you just don't know where they're going to go with that. So I really prepared as if I was it was a final or something. I mean, all the industry information, I really did. They didn't ask anything like that. But what I can tell you, I'm on that stage, like your talk was supposed to be like 7 minutes and then 8 minutes Q&A. Well, I was standing up there in the Q&A, and you have to smile. And there were, I think, 7 panelists, and each person asked me a question. I'm standing there with a smile on my face like, get me off the stage. Isn't my 7 minutes up? I mean, enough. I've had enough of this. But it all worked out fine, won money and everything. And then we got to have breakfast with Damon John the next day, which was super cool, super, super cool. He wasn't interested in my product, but I know that. And he's trying to get out of clothing, and he said he doesn't get women's clothing. He's tried. He doesn't get it. He can do men's, but it just isn't his thing. And so it's fine. So, I mean, I can check that off the list. Because people say, get on the Shark Tank. I'm like, who would you want to meet but Damon John? And so that happened. So anyway, that's pretty much my story. Here I am. Okay, so we're here to answer questions now, both of us, that you guys can...
Question and answer for both Jean and Debbie.
Yes.
Okay, actually, I've got questions that... if I could get an answer from each of you, because they're kind of common, but, I'll do it one at a time and let other people jump in if they want. Okay, you're both interesting to me because it seems to me that you're both control freaks. Pardon the expression. Okay, you wanted everything in-house. You wanted it right under your eye. You were subcontracting everything. I mean, dealing with China, and I mean, is this your personalities, the way that you like to operate?
I don't sew, and somebody has to make it. So who makes it? I mean, she's different. She can make her product. And I need to do, well, you need to do volume too. But like I need to invest in the inventory and have it. But I'm hoping with this thing in working with California, if it works, that I could order, like let's say size 12. I can see they're going, okay, Neil, I need 50-12. And that they can do that, that you can't do in China, unless probably you're a huge, one of the big box stores, and you have this great relationship and you do a lot of business. But I have to have the inventory, and I have to subcontract it out. But it's challenging to find the right person to do that with.
Yeah. I love that you think I'm a control freak.
And are you?
I don't think so.
I'm anal. I
don't know. That's interesting. That's interesting. Because in so many ways, lots of things in my life have not been in control. And so, and when I started the business, it was really economics that drove me to, we had the barn, we had the farm, and even though we are not farmstead, we don't raise the animals and milk the goats. We had actually been raising boar goats for 5 years, and I'd done all the veterinary work and the breeding records and everything. But Jim and I one day looked at each other and said, this is just, it was hard on our hearts. We fell in love with these little animals, and they're delicious. I mean, goat meat is delicious. I know, you're so cute. You're going to taste so good. No, but we just couldn't do the slaughter thing. It got to us. So I think that the whole goat thing and sort of doing something else that had to do with goats, it was always there on the farm. So, and my son is stepping in, and he's like, are you going to have a hard time letting go? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. Because both of us, my business has grown. It's growing anywhere from 20 to 100% a year.
Wow.
It's stunningly wonderful, overwhelming, fabulous. And staying with that and keeping, I guess there is control, because you better be in control.
You have to be.
Yeah.
You have. Who's going to be the person overseeing it? When she said she does everything, that's how I feel too. You do so much to the point that it becomes painful, that you need help. Yeah. But when do you make that call? Yeah. That okay, I can't do this all.
And then sorting through to find that right person that
that's
you do
huge,
entrust.
Huge.
Because if they don't do it right, it's only going to reflect on you. But once I have found, when I've let something go and I've let it go to somebody that I know is going to do a good job, it's gone. It's gone. But I think one of the biggest things for me was really, I had no question in my head what I did well and what I didn't do well. And it was an easy task of bringing somebody on, bringing a bookkeeper on, bringing an accountant on. I did not want those responsibilities. They were not.
That's not my domain either.
Very right brain.
Yeah.
That was not how my brain works. So now I don't know that I'd be able to ever trust someone with coming up with the recipes. I haven't. A couple of my chefs have this same, and I really believe it's a gift. I can, in my head, create, blend ingredients and know what it's going to taste like. I don't have to actually physically do it and mix the ingredients and taste it. I know. I can almost taste it, smell it. And a couple of my chefs are like that. Doug Katz is one of them, and he said, I really believe it's a gift. So that would be hard to let go of that kind of control.
So when you say that controlling, but guess what? It's our business. It's our reputation. It matters. You're as good as your last sale. It's so true. And so I go, my customer service is almost ridiculous, what I do. Truly, I mean, I've sent product without money, and nobody's ever screwed me. But I've done that because somebody wants it so bad. And just, if they need to exchange it and they're in Canada, I said, let me just send it to you. And then what doesn't work, send back, as versus this back and forth. There's a lot that I do because it's my business, and I don't have to pick up the phone and call my boss and say, oh, is it okay if I do it? I know it's the right thing to do. And there's something empowering about that, but it's our business. When it's you, it's important. Not that, I've always done my best with whomever I work for, but when it's yours and you're putting your money where your mouth is, and it's your livelihood, I mean, you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I had a very negative experience in the workforce. And so when I started this company, I loved that I could create a workplace that had my heart and my soul, my values. My little Amish girls, I have 3 Amish girls who work for me. They have never had Monday morning meetings. They have never had bi-monthly reviews, but they've become very comfortable with it. They love it. And one of the things that I always ask them is, are you happy? Do you enjoy coming to work? And they love it. They're like, all of my friends are jealous. They wish they could do this. And I'm like, now, how about when you get married? One girl said, I'm not getting married. I'm not getting married. I'm here. I'm here for the long run. She's so cute. So there's this fabulous gift of starting your own business that you can make it. I want my workplace to be safe. I want my workers, my employees, I call them my angels because I could not do this without them. I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel happy and be happy and laugh. And I dance. They don't because they're Amish. But they listen to this wonderful music. And I'm like, how can you not move around this make room? They're like, no, we can't. But
there's something about that because to have fun.
Yeah,
it's
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
I mean, when it's your own and I had to go to shows or whatever. There's something fun about it.
Yeah.
And even traveling for Girl Trunks. I mean, I had the great job of the art job and traveling for the art job. Art's in great places. Fun. I mean, killer job. Well, Girl Trunks kind of the same thing. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's weird to be spending your own money though.
Yes.
There's not an expense account. It's your own money.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it's an interesting thing because I was on an expense account for how long? Like, what's my expense account? So it's interesting.
I think it's fascinating too that both of us have done this with our own money, and I think we're both older and have not. I think I'm much older than you, but you're not 30.
No, I'm not 20 years
you're
old.
You're not
no.
30. There's a wonderful book if any of you are interested in reading. I actually have a list of books which I didn't bring, and I apologize. But there's one book in particular. The author is Sarah Lawrence Lightfoot. She's a professor at Harvard. She is a sociology professor. She has written a book called, I believe it's the 3rd chapter, or the 3rd quarter. It is about what we do with our lives after between 50 and 75. And I'm a risk taker. Clearly, you're a risk taker.
And I never, in my life, really, not one. So this is a huge, huge out of the box.
Okay.
Huge.
Okay.
I mean, this doesn't bother me to stand in front because I'm talking about something that I'm passionate about. It's interesting, but if you just had me private, Debbie, I don't know. I'm shy. So the Girl Trunks total out of the box for me. Huge risk for me. Huge.
I'm a huge risk taker. I just sold my Harley. And it was
fabulous.
with tears. I have terrible arthritis in my spine, and so I can't ride anymore. And but I'm a major risk taker. I sort of go by that. If you're not running risk, you're not living.
There's truth to that. It's more fun on this. It is more fun.
Yeah.
But there's the peaks and valleys with all that. Here, we have another question.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about financing growth? Debbie, you said you use lines of credit and credit cards. A lot of small businesses do it. It's not ideal at all.
Exactly.
It's very expensive.
Right.
But Jean, you immediately started major renovation in your barn. That wasn't inexpensive.
No.
You had to buy tons of equipment. Then you had to finance all your growth, which came more quickly than you thought. So how did you do that? How did you finance growth?
I was every bit of profit went right back into the business, and I took no salary. And my son wasn't working for me, so he didn't need a salary. So the only people that I had to pay were my Amish girls, and they're at a good salary, or it's not, I don't want to call it salary. They're at a good pay range, but they are 1099s hired to me through their father. And we just went through an audit, the workman's comp audit, and we were quite nervous because we thought, will this stand up, this Amish employment, and that they don't collect workman's compensation, and that they do have other jobs, they do work, they clean houses, they babysit, and they work for me. Every dime that I made went back into the company. So what I did initially, because the biggest layout of cash was in the beginning,
Right.
and I'm very transparent. I'll tell you that I have $260,000 into my company.
That was your own money?
That's my own money. So
You were blessed to have financial resources.
I was blessed. I had reached the point where I could retire, and I've spent myself out of retirement. But that's okay. What was I thinking? But it's okay, because the journey has been fabulous. So I have been blessed. And one of the things in this book, this Sarah Lawrence Lightfoot's book about running that risk and knowing, usually by the time we hit 50, either we do have the financial ability to go after that dream, or you have connections to get investors, to go to the bank, you've got a good line of credit, you've got whatever. So usually you can find the money. The money challenge is much greater when you're younger.
You don't have any equity.
You have no equity,
Right.
nothing. You own nothing. Right. And so, excuse me, I was fortunate in that regard. Now my son feels the burden of that because the company owes me that money. And so now we're working with an attorney, setting up, putting everything in a trust so that when I die, if I still own the company, if he hasn't bought it from me, and how do you determine all that? That's all really challenging, that he will receive the company in lieu of anything else.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's where we are. And again, being very transparent, and that's the beauty of owning your own company. We are transparent. We do not we don't charge one person this amount at wholesale and somebody else a different amount. That is just going to bite you. It's going to bite you, and you're going to get a terrible reputation. Everything is the same. And
So regardless if they're buying a little or a lot?
there are case discounts.
Yeah.
So if you buy a case, you get a case discount. But other than that, we don't. Jenny's Ice Cream in Columbus, all of her goat cheese ice cream is our goat cheese. We just sent. It's like, I wish I had a picture of it. It's in my phone. My son sent me this picture. 28 5-gallon pails. They're 40 pounds apiece. 28 40-pound pails of Chev to Jenny's Ice Cream today. It was shipped today. It's like, wow. So talk about a business that's growing. I mean, she's going tenfold. Right now, she has ordered 3 times this year what she ordered from us last year. And we're very blessed to have that connection, to have that she had a bad experience with a cheesemaker and almost was shut down by the health department. And when she came to us, or we met at an event, and she tasted our cheese, and her first question was, "Are you licensed?" And I said, "Yes, we're licensed." And the other one, cheesemaker, was not. And she just started buying from us, and it's been fantastic. But the whole money thing is, in my business, everything costs $15,000. The pasteurizers, $15,000. The boilers are $15,000. It's just like, does nothing cost, $200 or $2,000? So, but we are now, the growth is done, and now we're starting to produce and see profit. Now, it took us 5 years, that classic 5 years before you see profit, and we are starting to see profit. So hopefully I'll start being paid back.
Now, I want to piggyback on her thing about the money, about it's the same. One thing with my business, and from my work in the art job, I watched the company, they discount, and they bastardized their business. They really did. And I watched it. And I ran this one section of the show, and I didn't discount. And let me tell you, people knew it. The rest of the show could be discount, but the area, I had like 150 artists. And that's a lot. So anyway, with my product, I let people, you need to do this, you need to offer this. Even the PR firm, you need to discount. You need to go in back of what these make. I'm like, no, and no. And let me tell you, I've sold it all at full price, and it's a reasonable price. It isn't when all that you put into it. I mean, you have to make money. I mean, you've got to make money to sustain it. But that thing, people every which way, and I'm like, no. When I'm ready to put something on sale, I'll put it on sale. But there's nothing wrong with the product. So it's still selling, and it has sold, and people see the value of it. And so there's a lesson in that.
Are you worried about being copied?
Well, here's the thing. Absolutely, anybody can copy me. Believe me, when I started this, yes, it was a big deal. When I was doing my research, I would, when I was contacting people, I would be contacting about male and female. They didn't know I was combining them. Here's the thing, I either don't do anything or I do my business. So I did it, and I can tell you with all my travels, and I would go to big cities, even when the idea started, 10 plus years ago, and I would go into the big department stores of these cities, and when it was swimwear season, I'd always go look, why don't they have it? Why don't they have it? And there are some things out there that are shorts, they're not like mine, they're not long. A lot, in women's clothes, in the short thing is just pull it on. Just like, drawstring, not flattering, where I made mine flattering. Yes, can somebody copy it? Absolutely. But then I say to myself, there's how many clothing companies, there's how many makeup companies. I mean, I couldn't, believe me, that was very much in my head, but if I stayed in my head, I would have never taken action and done it.
Yes.
I just had to take the plunge and do it.
Yeah.
What percentage of your sales are
100%. I have not ventured into the wholesale business yet, and that is the next thing I want to do. So that's going to be my next.
that being said, how are you going to adjust your prices if that tax law comes into play where they're going to be taxing products?
We'll just be taxing it. I mean, all that tax just goes to the government. I mean, we collect that money, and then you do your quarterly or whatever, and you just write the check and send it.
And that's the beauty of food. Food is not taxed, so we have no liability like that. But something that's really important if you're starting a business at any level, when you establish your pricing, understand what your costs are and what you need to make to be making a profit and for it to be worth all your effort. And then work backwards from that. You need to have retail pricing. You need to have distribution pricing. You need to have wholesale pricing. There should be 3 levels. In my business, so many cheesemakers fall in love with the romance of milking goats and making cheese, and isn't this lovely and tidy in the Alps? And no, it's not. It's hard work. It is physically. I've had to have rotator cuff surgery because from lifting 20-pound cheese bags and hanging them, which we don't do anymore, but that's what I did, and I ended up tearing my rotator cuff. It's physical. It's there. I'm tonight will be going home and going into the Creamery to do some work. So it is
all the time.
It's all the time. Yeah.
It is 24/7.
Yeah.
The calls come whenever they do the emails. It is. But to me, there's freedom in that too.
Yes.
Because when you're in an office, you have to go work the time that you're in the office. Well, now she can go home. I'm going to go home. I'll answer emails. Yeah. I'm all fine with that.
Take a glass of wine and
that's
Creamery.
all. I have no issue with that at all. Yeah.
But you must have that tier of distribution, wholesale, retail pricing. And so many people don't do that, and then they're like, "Oh my God, I've gotten so big. So much is going on. I have to get a distributor," and all of a sudden they're not prepared for that. So, yeah.
Yes. Oh, there's a guy back there. Go ahead.
Products in business, as far as like in the down times, like you said, the growing pains. Like, what keeps you going besides the passion of pursuit?
It is believing in my brand.
Yeah.
This is a better way than working in corporate America like I did my whole life. And if I have to go back to corporate America, I'll do it. But I sure would prefer not to. And so this is a nice way to live, and that it's something you created it. So it's just, it didn't exist before. So see, for me, it's that, and then I have so many ideas of what I want to expand. I mean, this is not a one-trick pony for me. There's so many things that I want to do. From, I mean, just even add to the line for women, but just say you can go with women that are pregnant, teens, the young kids. I mean, it goes on and on. And I've got a great idea for covering the arms, which could be a huge game changer, even for people that don't want to wear girl trunks. It could be for any, who buy from another manufacturer or business. So it is about, you created it. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, and when you create and put your money and your time, there is something that, unless you do it, right, you're in. You're in. I mean, when you're in, you're in.
Debbie had said something, too, about making it better. And I have had women come to me, and men too, but it's the women who have cried. And there's a wonderful expression about crying, and it's that women cry when they speak the truth, which is kind of interesting. This woman came to me and she started crying, and she said, "I'm so embarrassed, I'm crying, but you've changed my life. You have changed my life. Goat cheese is lactose tolerant, and it's gluten-free, and it's all kinds of, it's comparing our cheese to cream cheese, it's half the cholesterol, half the fat, 20% fewer calories. It's just higher in protein and vitamin A. It's just a really good, healthy product. That's huge. But I have changed people's lives, and because it's a product that they can consume. People who thought they could never have cheese again, and a lot of goat cheese that's out there is not great, and it tastes like the barnyard. It tastes actually like the buck smells, and there's reasons for that. It's that they're using really old milk. There's all kinds of scientific explanations as to why goat cheese doesn't taste great, but good goat cheese should taste like what went around the room tonight. It should not taste like the buck smells. It should be, you should want to go back and have more. And and what this one woman said to me one day at the farmer's market, she said, "Your cheese makes my mouth happy." And I'm like, what? How cool. And a father was there at another market, the Shaker Market, with his little son, and he had just eaten the blueberry lemon, and the little boy looked up at his dad and said, "Is there goat cheese in heaven?" I mean, this is just fabulous stuff, and it's, yeah.
You're making people happy, and there is something that is a driving force, for sure.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I know there's somebody back there. We'll get you next. Go ahead.
When you first started out, did you use the SBA? Did you contact how to put together?
Okay.
Or did you just do it by the seat of your pants?
Yes, and I can tell you that I had joined this, I mentioned it before, Ladies Who Launch, and when one of the first, they did this incubator thing, and so I took my idea to the incubator, and Victoria Colligan,
yes.
who is the founder of it,
Yeah.
she said for women, the business plan, if you haven't done a business plan, it's fine, you'll eventually have to do one. Okay, I have tried to do a business plan. If I had to have a business plan to do my business, there would be no girl trunks, period, end of statement.
Yes.
I've tried. Right now, I'm paying somebody to do it. Now, mind you, I'm how far in, but there is a business plan being done now. But and all that SBA, all that stuff, there's so much red tape.
Yeah.
So much red tape. I can tell you, I just read an article in a mag. I mean, this is a little out there, but it was in Town and Country, and it was about the artist Robert Rauschenberg, very successful artist. There's a foundation that he's created, and what they do is they provide $25,000 grants, like for starters. So let's say, she and I were on a board. I would like to create this. I want to create this model. Mm-hmm. So we have a board of people, and let's say all of your entrepreneurs. She heard about you. So we heard about all of you. So then we gather together and say, love what he's up to, love what he's doing, love what she's doing, and we just give you the $25,000. Because you know what? When you meet people and you know what they're doing and you know that they're solid people, to me, you just believe them, and they need the money. Yeah. The red tape of all this stuff turns me off. I've gone to meetings for all kinds of things. Forget it.
I think it's.
I mean, I wouldn't have a business, honestly.
Yeah. I think it's more important to write your mission statement than to write your business plan.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. And go ahead. That's okay.
What about legalities when you first started? Did you guys use attorneys, or was your business didn't really require?
Okay, yeah. Mine is an LLC, and it was actually set up through LegalZoom. And it worked, and it was reasonably, the price was reasonable. I mean, it costs money for sure, but it's not like hiring a lawyer. But let me share with you that with the...
I'm not worried about. I want to do is, I'm looking at service, but I'm a little concerned about certain avenues that I'm
I have used an attorney for trademarks.
I went online and set up my company as an LLC on my own, but I have a great accountant.
And that, I've done that.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
worry about that.
right. And now if there's any kind of licensing, like to make goat cheese, you have to be licensed by the Ohio Department of Agriculture Dairy Division. So if there's any licensing, obviously you need to do that. But I have an attorney that I could turn to if I needed to. We used him for trademark. We did trademark our logo. We've trademarked some of our flavors. But no,
Is
the
a trademark attorney familiar enough with all aspects of
yeah.
business, do you know?
Well, for me, my sort of the trademark, tried to do it on my own where, you can just get on the USPTO, whatever it is, .gov. Okay, did that. Well, then something comes back that isn't right. And it's called a specimen. If you ever do this, just listen to me right now because there's a key. I'm not kidding you. This cost me a lot of money. And so Brouse McDowell, Howard Bryce, that's not cheap at all. So they fix it here. It's a picture. So they need a picture of the tag on the garment. Fine, send the picture, done, it's all good. So I have a total of 4 trademarks. So then I do 2 more. Do them on my own, like I did, thinking that we're going to learn the lesson of what we did. So it comes again, specimen. I didn't know what specimen was because there's all that language. It's a picture. So, but I found a lawyer, somebody had sent me an email, and it was hands down cheaper to get 2 of them done, and it was nothing. Okay, by the time I did the 4th one, I know what a specimen is, send the picture, but specimen is a picture. Just if you ever do that, it costs thousands of dollars for me to get it through my head that it's a picture. I could have kicked myself. When I had to do it for the 2nd and 3rd one, I'm like, Debbie, come on. But it escaped me, because you're doing so many things, and it's not my wheelhouse. It just isn't my wheelhouse, so. Specimen is a photo.
Yeah, why don't they just say
And where do you think specimen is a photo? Like that doesn't even,
Yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Go ahead. He still wants to, there's one more, that we'll get you next, okay. Go ahead.
So if you could take them all in and do one thing over again, what one thing would each of you do different?
I know. I can say I have my cheese consultant, but then I had a fellow who did all my welding. And then I had my guy who did my electricity. And they all had ideas of what they really thought I should be doing in the plant. And I should have listened to one person, which is my consultant, who designed it. And I didn't. I started listening, and I ended up buying 2 pieces of equipment that are on Craigslist as we speak. I think one sold today, thank goodness. But and again, all of these things are ridiculously expensive. I mean, you're talking, $17,000. It's just insane. And so I would have one person as my go-to person, a consultant, somebody who has gone ahead of you.
Okay, so for me, it would be that the referrals, something like if you said, okay, I need an accountant, who do you want? And I have just gone with one person. Like you say here, you need to go to, not good. So now my little rule of thumb is I have to have at least 2 people that I'm interviewing and figuring out, because you do need the right fit.
Yes.
Because all these things, you guys, they're expensive mistakes.
Yeah.
They're really expensive mistakes. And when you are a small business and it's all you, and when those thousands of dollars, you're just like, oh, it's hard. But yet, guess what? We keep going. Yeah. We keep doing it. Yeah. And so there's something that we believe in that are so passionate about that we do need to keep going. Okay, Sorry, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Since you're an e-commerce entrepreneur, do you have like your top 3 tips for e-commerce you think would be valuable for us to know?
Could you repeat the question?
He asked about e-commerce, the fact that I'm on e-commerce. What would be advice?
Top 3 tips.
Top 3 tips. That's a challenge. I mean, as far as the e-commerce, it is a challenge. Okay, the website, you have to have a good website. And I'll tell you, on that note, the first website I had did not control inventory. Well, it was somebody that was so kind. I'm going off track. But they helped me set, and they were just so lovely and really helped me get things going. Fortunately, they were kind of going down, right when I needed to start new, and when all that business came in, if I didn't have control, you should see me counting stuff, because we'd have returns or exchanges. I was counting constantly because I did not want to sell a product I didn't really have. Okay, so a good website. What 3 things? There's a whole marketing engine to all of that. There's a whole marketing engine, so that I need money for all that, though. See, I need money for somebody to really help me do all that. But I guess it's connecting all the social media stuff.
Yes.
Do it. That's all common. I don't know the value. I mean, like blogging, can't stand it. Can't stand it. Tweeting, I can't stand any of it. And if you look at my website, I have little spurts that I do. I think, okay, I need to blog again. So I guess that is probably advice. Because some people read it. They say, oh, I love your story about the birds. Oh, I love this. It's so random. It's so random. What would be my 3rd thing about e-commerce? To get a solid, I mean, there's one thing about designing the website, but to get a solid infrastructure. I ended up going with Shopify. And I had done research on, what e-commerce. I can tell you a little, because I didn't have money, you guys. I went with them and signed the subscription, and I chose to do the monthly, and then they would get a percentage of sales. Well, guess what? July, I had sales off the charts. They made a bucket load of money off of me. And that did not make me happy. So guess what? But I didn't have the money to put that up front. It doesn't look like it's that much if you get on it, but it was a lot for where I was, and I had that tough year. And I can tell you when that year was so tough, I still spent money and got the website redone. Something inside me, I created more debt for myself, as much as I'm anti that, but thank God I did. I'm not kidding you, because I probably would have had to shut down and get a website done, and then would have lost all that momentum. So I don't know if that helps answer. Okay. Anyone else?
In terms of units and scale, I mean, how many units a month, a year do you want to do, and also do?
Oh, I don't know. Like tens of thousands. I mean, I have big dreams for this. I mean, women are half the population.
Yeah. Okay,
so all that swimwear stuff already exists. I mean, if you want the whole piece, the 2-piece, the sexy thing, all that, the sarong, all that already is there. Okay, this is just, I mean, I can tap into a market that that doesn't even exist. There's people that won't buy a swimsuit. Believe me, I get people I would never buy a swimsuit again. I'm buying it. So I would love to see this global. I mean, truth be told, that's my big dream. I'm dreaming as I'm sitting here, struggling to take step by step. But
and I think you have to have that dream. I think you've got to have a vision. I have a vision of my. I see it. I don't just.
I see it too.
Hope it. Yeah. I see it. I see this fabulous little shop in Aspen. Disposable income. I mean, it's our goat cheese is not industrial. It's not $3 a pound, and so. I think you have to have those visions and visualize where you're going. For me personally, I see our maximizing our facility where we are, and then it's going to be my son's choice. Where does he go? And I think he's going to go off campus and build a facility that will be strictly maybe Chev, and that the farm now would become aged cheese. We can't build any more than we have, because then when the time comes to sell the farm, this facility has to be able to go to horses or go to something. It has to be it has to be able to be used in a different way than what we're using it, because the odds of selling the farm and the creamery to one person is pretty remote. But I really believe in visualization, and I really believe in having that dream and being free. Let it go. Where do you see this? She sees global. I totally see it. I mean, I want to buy your things, because we worry about our arms, our legs. Oh God, it's so. And I don't bathing suits. Oh my God. So it's what we're doing with goat cheese is very unique. We're prepared. There will be a copycat at some point. There will be. We're trademarking as much as we can to protect our intellectual property. But you could give 5 cheesemakers the exact same things, the exact same ingredients, and you would have 5 different cheeses, because it is science, but it's also art. And but I would say visualize and go for it.
And go for exactly. Yeah. We're going to go for it at the same time.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got a dream stirring in there, go for it. There is, I mean, it's got its peaks and valleys, but I'm telling you, it's more up. Because somewhere, when it's your own business, all the crappy stuff, not that you love it, but you do it because it's yours and you do what you need to do to keep everything going. And it's not as, I'm going to say, as painful as staying at an office working for somebody else till 8 p.m. You know, if you worked all day. There's a different, you can be doing that working like a dog, but when it's yours, it is different.
Yeah.
It's different in a really good way. You know, in a really good way. It fills you up.
It does.
It fills your spirit up and your soul.
Yeah.
That may sound corny, but
No, it's true, and this might sound corny too, but I honestly believe that each of us are born with a gift. And I'm not religious.
Absolutely.
I'm very spiritual, but I'm not religious. But I honestly believe that we are each born with a gift, that we can do better than anybody else. And my feeling is I want to leave this place better, and I believe I have already made it better. People coming to me with tears saying, "You've changed my life." That's better. And you're making things better.
Okay, and
it's exciting.
Okay, but with that too, like all the success that you have, one thing I can share is it's like never enough. There's always what's next. It's like, okay, wow, that was great.
That was
right?
great, yeah.
There's always what next. And when I was at the Cozy, the first time, and this was interesting, the first Cozy, when I just joined, they did their small business conference. I'm walking in there, I'm like, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not kidding you. And it was so memorable to me that, wow, I am an entrepreneur, and I'm coming to this event for entrepreneurs. Well, Bill Rancic, who was the first winner of the Apprentice of Donald Trump, and he was telling his whole story, and he's got a great, great story. And he's saying it's just never enough. You just keep climbing and climbing and climbing.
Yeah.
And it's true. And one thing for me that I have to tell myself, enjoy what you've done. And people say, Debbie, look what you've done. And I'm like, yeah, but I've got to. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I have to.
Yeah.
And it's like, but look what you've done. And I really feel like I'm starting over. And I said that to you because here I am manufacturing. And it really does feel like starting over. But you just keep going.
Yeah.
But it's never enough.
Yeah.
And sometimes is that bad? But no, it's not bad because you want to strive and do more and make a difference. I really want to make a difference out there too.
Yeah.
Very much so. That whole handing money out to people with great businesses, imagine how fabulous that would be. As versus all the rigmarole and red tape of all the governmental stuff, which God love that the governmental stuff exists for sure. Because a lot of people use it and they're good at it. Not for me, and probably you either. It's not too much paperwork. Too much. It's like negative to me. There's just too much stuff.
Yeah. The cheese has won 12 national awards. We just received the silver medal at the U.S. Championship, which is a big deal. The company has won 2 awards that I didn't even know. Well, the Cozy 10 Under 10, we won a couple of years ago. I knew about that because I knew about that. But we were in 2009, the editors of Cleveland Magazine chose us as the best goat cheese in Ohio. I didn't know that was happening. It was great. But it was like, okay, that's great. Let's go. Let's keep going. And then the Portage County Environmental Foundation gave us an award for running a green and sustainable business. And it's great. And that plaque's on the wall. And that's great. But let's go. You know, it is always...
What's next?
Keep
moving forward.
Yeah. And it's not how many awards can I win. It's not it. We go into competition because we want to get the critique from the judges. They're the top cheese people in the world. I want to hear, what are they saying? What am I doing wrong? I want to know what I'm doing wrong. I don't care about what I'm doing right, because if you're doing it right, it's right. I want to know what am I doing wrong so that I can get better. So, I don't know. And yeah, I guess maybe we're both competitive. I don't know. I'm a risk taker, and I was an athlete until I got arthritis, but I am competitive, and I think that comes out in this as well. That it's like, this is exciting. And I mean, I don't have visions of franchises. I don't. But I do have visions of, I mean, I'll pick up the phone. I color code my calendar. And so Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays are color coded for sales calls. And I will call stores that use us and stores who don't use us. We're approved for Whole Foods nationally. So I'll call the Whole Foods that I know that our distributor distributes to, but we're not there. And just talk to them and say, this is really a great product and blah, 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 blah. We think it's unique, whatever. It just comes from your heart, and you're just...
And people pick that up.
Yeah, they do.
They get it.
Yeah.
They get it.
Yeah.
It's not just anybody, like for my product, what that guy said, somebody copy it. But here's the thing, nobody's going to do it like I'm going to do it.
No.
And guess what? I'm a woman with weight, carrying too much weight. So there's things that I bring to the table that not just anybody's going to do. And also I like fashion. There's things that look good. Like people that put side pockets on women's clothes. Why? I mean, women have, but you don't know how many clothes have side pockets. I'm not kidding you. The design is terrible for so many things. So see, I look at there's so much that I could bring, and even like when I did the trunks, there's a taper on the leg because as you get bigger sizes, they could just end up like just square. No. That's not okay. So see, there's something different about it, and as it grows, I can keep bringing more product that brings my aesthetic and my knowledge. I guess
Your
it is
gift.
knowledge.
It's your
my
gift.
gift
Your
of what
gift.
I know looks good
Yeah.
on women and what women need. I mean, I have pockets on mine. They're flat front. Women don't want gappies. They don't want. I mean, come on. But there's so much out there like that. You guys have no idea how lucky you are when it comes to clothes. I mean, really. I mean, in all honesty. I mean, women just, it's a whole different game for women.
Yeah.
But then you have the bathing suit thing. I mean, that's a big drama. So you figure you can handle, I totally eliminate this part. So that just, I mean, that eliminates a lot of drama.
Yeah.
But I have people that even want it longer. I make pedal pushers. Believe me, there's so much that needs to be there, and I guess it's different from what already is there. I would do different cover-ups, little shirts. I mean, just all that, all that other stuff's there. Go buy it. And there's people making new bikini stuff, because on LinkedIn I'm in a bikini and a swimwear bikini thing, and some of the stuff I see, it's like, oh, that's great. It's not what I'm interested in. It's not what I'm interested in. And people will say, make a thing with a skirt. No. Go to Land's End. That's their thing. No. Not interested in that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what I see and what I think many women will want. Not every woman's going to want it for sure, but a lot of them are. And a lot of them do.
And that's where being in control, she is in control of her dream and of her vision. And that's really, and I think you said about drama, it made me laugh because in the first couple of years when things were so much more stressful than they are now, and I would call my daughter, and I was like, oh my God, well, we got laughing. I said, oh, this is mama drama. I said, okay, I'm calling you. It's mama drama time. And I was just like, oh, I don't know what's happening. And it was just like, or it'd be, oh, we just won some war. I mean, these highs
It is
and these
absolutely that.
lows.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, I felt
It is.
manic. I mean, it was just like, oh my
It
God.
so is.
So I renamed it Mama Drama. And
That's funny.
and you will deal with mama drama because it's major mama drama to go into a bathing suit. That's drama. So it's taking the hard things, keeping your humor, keep humor, because if you don't, you'll become an alcoholic or something.
And
I
then
don't
it is
know.
fun. I mean, it's true. And you have to put it in perspective.
Yeah.
Because really,
Yeah.
like when I've said to you before, I question, what am I doing? And
Yeah.
believe me,
What?
many,
Yes.
more than I care to even admit.
Yes.
Like, why am I doing this? And why? But yet, I keep doing it. And I keep spending money. I'm like, well, here I go. I guess I'm in. I'm in again. I
Yeah.
never left, but I'm, when you pony up the money, to me, you're just so in.
You're in.
And you're like
Yeah.
taking it to the next level, getting the
Yeah.
new equipment. You're just.
You're
It's like
committed.
a confirmation you are in. Because talk. I talk for years. I love entrepreneurship. I love ideas. I have one friend in particular always chatted. Well, talk. Big talker, I finally did. Which is not, it's out of my wheelhouse, but I did it, and here I am.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, thank you all. You were great. Thank you. That's nice. See, and I got to meet her. I was so excited to meet her.